Lewis Hamilton's disqualification from the Chinese Grand Prix has taken a completely unexpected turn. What first seemed like a simple technical mistake has now become a much bigger issue that is causing serious discussions inside the Formula One paddock. New information has started to come out, and it may completely change the way people understand what happened. Engineers, analysts, and even rival teams are now looking deeper into what caused the severe plank wear that led to Hamilton losing his sixth-place finish. It turns out this story is not just about a car running too low to the ground. It could be about a much bigger technical failure inside Ferrari's car systems. It could even show that Ferrari overlooked important warning signs before the race even started. The early signs of the problem point to things like missing data from pre-season testing and setup changes between the sprint race and the main race that had unexpected results. These are not just small mistakes. They could have a serious effect not only on Ferrari's season, but even on how the FIA controls and checks the technical parts of Formula One. There is a lot to unpack in this situation, and it could have a huge impact on Lewis Hamilton's future with Ferrari. The way things are unfolding, it seems the road ahead might be even rougher than anyone thought. At first, it looked like Ferrari had made some basic errors. After the race in Shanghai, Lewis Hamilton finished sixth, and Charles Leclerc finished fifth. Considering the struggles Ferrari had faced earlier this season, it was a solid result. But just hours after the race ended, everything turned upside down. Post-race inspections revealed that both Ferraris broke important rules. Leclerc's car was found to be under the minimum weight, while Hamilton's car was disqualified for having excessive plank wear underneath the car. At first glance, these seemed like normal mistakes that can happen once in a while. But as more information started to come out, it became clear that the situation was much more complicated. Looking closer at Hamilton's disqualification, the issue was with the plank under the car. In Formula One, there is a wooden plank attached to the bottom of the car called the skid block. Its job is to make sure the car does not run too low to the ground. If the car runs too low, the plank will wear down faster. To stay within the rules, the plank must not be worn below 9 millimeters thick. However, when the FIA measured Hamilton's plank after the race, they found it had worn below the legal limit. The thickness was 8.6 millimeters on the left side, 8.6 millimeters on the center line, and 8.5 millimeters on the right side. Ferrari accepted the FIA's findings and did not argue. They admitted the measurements were correct and said there were no special reasons that could excuse the error. As a result, Hamilton was automatically disqualified. At the time, it seemed like an unfortunate but clear-cut case, but new paddock analysis is suggesting that it was not a simple mistake after all. Instead, it may have been a direct result of deeper technical problems inside Ferrari's preparation. One of the key problems might be linked to Ferrari's pre-season testing with Hamilton in Bahrain. During those tests, Hamilton's SF25 car developed a technical issue that stopped him from doing full race simulations. In Formula One, race simulations during testing are very important because they help the teams understand how the car behaves over long distances, especially under heavy fuel loads. Without this data, Ferrari went into the season missing important information about how Hamilton's car would react over a full dry race distance. Fast forward to the Chinese Grand Prix, which ended up being Hamilton's first full dry race of the season. Because Ferrari had no proper dry race data for Hamilton's car, they were essentially guessing when it came to setting up the car for the race. One theory is that Ferrari raised the ride height of the car in Australia to deal with the rough surface and rainy conditions there. But when they arrived in China, where the track was smoother and the weather better, they lowered the ride height again. Without proper dry race data, though, they may have lowered it too much, causing the plank to wear down too fast during the race. Another important detail is that the sprint race is a much shorter event compared to the main race, and the fuel and tire strategies are very different. In the sprint, Hamilton performed very well, even winning the race, but because the sprint is so short, the issues with plank wear would not have shown up the same way. This could explain why Ferrari did not realize there was a bigger problem before the main race. It is also important to understand what happened with Charles Leclerc's car. Leclerc was disqualified for a completely different reason. Early in the race, he suffered front wing damage and Ferrari replaced the wing during the event. According to the rules, teams are allowed to replace broken parts before the car is weighed, after the race. However, even after fitting a heavier replacement wing, Leclerc's car still weighed 1 kilogram less than the minimum 800 kilograms required. This suggests that Ferrari had made mistakes earlier when calculating the weight of the original setup. Another basic but very costly mistake from one of Formula One's top teams. These two separate disqualifications from different technical faults have caused people to ask serious questions about Ferrari's car setup philosophy. It seems the SF25 might be extremely sensitive to small changes in ride height. In Formula One, some cars are built with a very narrow sweet spot, meaning they perform best only if everything is perfectly tuned. If the car is just slightly outside of this perfect range, performance can drop quickly, and rules like plank thickness can be broken without the team even realizing it. Cars that are more forgiving can handle different track surfaces, fuel loads, and bumps more easily. But Ferrari's car might be too peaky, meaning it works great when everything is perfect, but falls apart when it is not. For Hamilton, this situation is very frustrating. He did everything he needed to do. He drove well, won the sprint race, and handled difficult car behavior during the main race. He also dealt with some confusing communication from his race engineer, Riccardo Adami, without losing focus. But even with all his efforts, Hamilton's weekend was ruined by problems that seemed to be Ferrari's fault, not his. After the race, Hamilton was clearly disappointed. He did not blame the team directly in public, but his short and careful answers showed he was unhappy. He mentioned that he felt a lack of rear grip and that the car was hard to rotate through slow corners. These are signs that the car's aerodynamic platform was unstable and that the ride height setup was not right. The effects of these disqualifications are very serious. In the championship standings, Ferrari has now fallen even further behind the leaders. They lost valuable points with both drivers. More importantly, the trust between Hamilton and the team is now under pressure. Hamilton came to Ferrari with a dream of winning an 8th world championship. But dreams like that can only come true if the team around him provides a car that is not only fast, but also reliable, consistent, and legal. Ferrari's mistakes in Shanghai raise much bigger questions about how the team operates. In Formula One, basics like ride height and car weight are fundamental. Mistakes in these areas are not just bad luck. They point to deeper problems with internal processes, checks, and communication inside the team. If Ferrari's problems are, indeed structural, fixing them will take a lot more work than just saying sorry to the drivers. They will need to rebuild their setup processes from the ground up, improve how their simulations match real-world results, and make sure that Hamilton and Leclerc have full confidence in their cars every weekend. The new evidence and analysis suggest that Ferrari's issues go far beyond